So with that, as I said, this is your opportunity to put your best foot forward. We hope that that helps you. And I'm going to now turn it over to Carrie Lesh, who's going to cover the cover letter and resume. So thank you all very much.
I had to bring technology people just to get the microphone in my hand. Yes, thank you, Janelle. Before we get going on this one, I know you guys have been sitting for a while, so I invite you to stand up and stretch a little bit, get the blood flow. It's kind of cold in here too. It is to me, yeah. So please, if you would like to, stand up and stretch a little bit. I'm covering resumes with you guys today, so I have about 20 minutes to talk about resumes. And Janelle, I had her find my presentation, so, oh, and I got a clicker too. I'm double fisting it here. And here's the one. Oh, cool. I like that. So, resumes. First of all, I'm Carrie Lesh. I am a licensed professional clinical counselor. I'm also a certified vocational evaluator. I'm a counselor here, and I have coordinated the Career Center in the past. And before I started working here at Southwestern, I was working at the East County Career Center out in El Cajon. And there's several career centers in the county, including one in Chula Vista on Bay Boulevard. And they do a really nice job of helping people prepare for interviews and resumes and all sorts of stuff. So if you're looking for some additional help, that's another resource right here for you guys in Chula Vista. So I couldn't help but come in on a Saturday, and I know my presentation is titled something different in your app, but I had to call it Resumes on Saturday. So thanks for all of my coworkers who are here on a Saturday too, and also all of you who are here because you're here working too, right? You're trying to figure out how to get this job thing done, and it is a job looking for a job. So with that said, I have to add some Saturday humor. So hopefully you are all Office fans like me. Not the TV show, but the movie, right? If you haven't seen it, I think you should definitely put it on your to-do list for this weekend. So yeah, I'm gonna have to just need to ask you to go ahead and come in on Saturday. So here we are. And I'm actually really happy to be here with you on a Saturday. Janelle kind of sucked me into this because she knows I'm one of those weird people who actually like resumes. I think they're fascinating, right? Because it's you, but it's you on paper. And you can't give them all of you because it's just work you. And how do you do that? And how do you make it stand out? And how do you make sure you're on the list of people that are going to interview for that job? So we get to talk about that a little bit. The first thing I want to talk about is what happens to your resume, right? What happens to it? I mean, Rose talked about that a little bit. Should I click? Oh, I might use the clicker next time. We'll see. So I want you guys to know a little bit about what happens to that resume when you turn it in, right? It goes in with that whole big packet. And when your resume goes out to the hire panel, because you've met your minimum qualifications and it's gone out to panel, there's a hire panel of approximately 5-ish people who are going to interview, take a look at your resume and determine if you have what they're looking for to bring you in for an interview, okay? With the competitive jobs on campus here, they may be looking at 100 or more application packets, including resumes. So it's your job to make it very easy for those people on that panel to see you working here in that job they're looking for. I don't want you to give the resume to the panel who's going to have to dive onto page 18 to see you've met one of those requirements they're looking for, right? We want to make it easy. So that's the goal of the resume, and that's what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about. If you make it to a final interview, your resume is going to go to the vice president or assistant superintendent vice president in your area. So it might go to Tina King, who's our vice president of student services. It might go to Manu, who you heard from earlier, right? And the reason I bring that up is I think a lot of times people think, oh, well, they know me. I've been a part-timer here. I don't have to put too much, they know me, it's okay. But Minu may not know you. You may have not had a chance to talk to Kindred. She may not know what your accomplishments are. So I need you to know that even if you worked here a long time, they may not know you. And when you're being evaluated for that position, That hire panel is just looking at what you turned in. They can't go, well, gosh, they didn't say that they've taught for 10 years, but I know they do, so I'll just slide it on. You've got to tell them that. So let's make it easy for your hire panel to see you working here on this campus. So, are you ready for a little secret?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm gonna use my clicker to check it out. 6 seconds. 6 seconds is the average amount of time a recruiter or a human resources professional spends looking at a resume, and in that amount of time, they decide if they're gonna look at your resume some more or not. That's not a very long time, right? If you turn in a resume, I should have mentioned too, right now I'm serving as interim department chair, and I only mention that because I see a lot of resumes, but I got a resume that was like 60 pages long. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, that's crazy. I'm not gonna make it to page 60, I'm just not. If you're curious, that information was taken from Glassdoor.com. It's information from August 17th. And like I said, I've been doing this resume stuff a long time. I think that average time is going down. I think it used to be 10 seconds, okay? So I want you to be able to make a quick impression. And we're gonna talk a little bit about how to do that. But the next 2 slides, I need you wide awake. Feel free to stand up and stretch again, because I want to know who's in the audience right now. Because I'm gonna shift around what I want to tell you depending on who's here. We were gonna have a little clicker thing and it didn't work out, but I'm still throwing out the questions, right? So I want to know how many people in the audience are currently employed at Southwestern College. Number 1 is, are you currently employed here as part-time faculty? Okay, that's really, really good to know. Thank you very much. Is anyone employed here as a classified professional looking to transition into faculty? No? Oh, you know what? It's weird being up here. I really can't see you. There's 2. Hi, thank you. And how many people don't work here yet? Okay, great, very good. Yay for you! Thank you so much for coming. I hope this is helping you get a better feel of who we are and what we're looking for. So thank you, that helps me in terms of where we're going with this. One more question. How many of you guys are looking for jobs exclusively at community colleges? Okay. Who is also looking for jobs at universities, or mainly universities? Okay, you can admit it, the VPs, you guys look up here so you can't see. Okay, who? Okay. Okay, how many's looking for either one? Like, whatever comes up first, I'll take it. Okay, fair enough. The reason I ask that is university faculty and community college faculty is quite a bit of a different job. And I would have to say, we are looking for a different resume than what you might be putting together for the university, okay? So the university, they're probably very used to seeing that 40-page resume where I was like, oh, I'm gonna die. They're like, oh yeah, I have a whole stack of 40-page resumes. You've already heard from Rose, you've already heard from Manu. We're looking for teachers. The community college wants to know you are a teacher. What's the other theme we heard this morning? Anyone? Equity-minded, right? Student-focused. Somebody who can work with our students. So that's our secondary part of that. So I would say for the community college, first of all, if any of you think your resume is done, you're wrong. Wrong. You're gonna be adapting that resume probably for every single job, just like Rose had alluded to a little bit earlier, and we're gonna take a look at that. I have to tell you before I get too far into this, there is no resume silver bullet. I'm sorry, I can't tell you the one thing that's gonna make it work or not make it work. And the other rule of resumes, so no matter what I say to you today, you can go, oh, that's crazy, I don't like that. That doesn't feel good to me. I don't feel like that's me on paper, then don't do it. Don't do it. You have to like your resume, if not love it, because you're gonna be the person. If you get an interview, part of that is because the committee, the hire panel, liked your resume. And now you're going in to tell them more about your resume. So you've got to be very intimately familiar with it, and you've got to be able to speak to that when you get to your interview. Make sense? Cool. I'm gonna use a clicker. Check it out. So I don't have very much time. I could probably talk all day about resumes, but I'm not going to. Don't be scared. So I wanted to give you some 4 do's and 4 don'ts. So first of all, there's a ton of different resume templates online. Don't use them. If you want to base it on that, that's fine. But do it yourself. Make it yours. It's you on paper. So I want to get away from that, and I'll show you some reasons for that a little bit later. Make it clear right away what job you are going for. If HR has her nice little 22 stacks of all the paperwork for each job and a little mini tornado hit the office and the resumes flew, I want them to be able to pick yours up off the floor and go, oh, this is our history teacher. Oh, this is our communications teacher. They shouldn't have to dig for that. I want them to see right away who you are and what you bring to this campus. Rose touched on this as well, but edit, proofread, okay? Keep your verb tenses the same. Keep your formatting the same. I'm not too caught up in what the formatting is, but it should be consistent. It should be visually appealing. So have a couple people look at it, like was recommended earlier. Have somebody, a couple people you trust. It's always great if you can get an English person to look at it, right? They're good with that kind of stuff. Edit it, proofread it, make sure it looks good. Spelling tense, verb tense, grammar, of course, and formatting. It should look pretty. It should be something I want to look at, not something I'm afraid of, which I'll show you that a little bit later too. Customize it to match the job posting, okay? This is why your resume is not done. You might have one that looks really, really good, but if our job posting, spinning, it might work. Our job posting is going to very clearly tell you what we're looking for, and we heard some of that out loud today, right? So when I look at this job posting, I get my instructions and not only that, but what I'm seeing is incumbents with the district position are expected to exhibit an equity-minded focus, responsiveness and sensitivity, and understanding to diverse academic paths. Oh, you guys can't see it. I need help. Tech people.
This is my pretend, right?
Oh, you're pretend. She's my pretend tech person. So, what I am looking at that you don't see is a job announcement, and Rose pulled it up earlier, right? So, if you weren't here today and you didn't hear all the things that everybody had to say, you would go to this job announcement and you will see equity inclusion all over this thing, okay? So now your job is to not only tell me that you meet minimum qualifications as a history professor, but you're also going to tell me what you bring to the table to show us that you can do those other things that we're looking for too. And that should be highlighted on your resume. Yes. Hello. Can you stay close by? Because I have a lot of links. I have a lot of links. Okay, cool. Cool. He's going to stay right here. That's good. So anyway, again, this is what I'm talking about, where we see what we're looking for. And if we scroll down further, guess what we see in responsibilities? My clicker, did he see?
I got it.
He has it. We're gonna get better at this. We can also see our values, we can also see the college, we can see the responsibilities, and we can see the knowledge, skills, and abilities. Subject matter prep. We need to be very clear that you've got the minimum quals met and that you can do all of these things. Now your resume right now probably addresses some, but not all of them. So you really need to take a look at what you've got here and find where it is in your resume, find if you need to add it to your resume, and also be really aware how hard it is to find that information in your resume. Because again, we want to make it very easy for the people looking at your resume and your application to see you working here. Back to PowerPoint. I think I can do that. So, while we go back to PowerPoint, oh my. Past 6 seconds, what happens? Keep going down. Let's talk about resume don'ts. That's the one. And I'll go through this one pretty quick. Well, maybe I will. Yay. This was addressed earlier. No cheeky email addresses. We've seen some crazy things. A lot of what you saw is true. No tiny fonts or weird fonts. I'm old. A lot of people who are gonna look at your application are, well, I don't like tiny fonts, it hurts my brain. So make it 12 point. I would rather see your resume go a little longer than you wanted to in a readable font than be on 2 pages and it's like the margins are tiny and the font is tiny and it's a struggle. No need to list, you really don't need to say on your resume, oh, I'll furnish you my references if you ask. We assume you will. Of course you will. So you don't need to put that. Save that space for something else that's on the job announcement. And then no bulky writing. The cover letter is a place for you to do more expository writing and have paragraphs maybe or stories. But on the resume, if you can bullet things and you can keep your verb, I want every bullet, the first bullet should have a verb. I want them to picture you doing something when they're seeing your resume. No passives. I mean, I really want it to be engaging so they can see you teaching here, counseling here, being a librarian here. All right? I'm gonna click. And this is where we're gonna have trouble, folks. I have a little game for you. This is gonna be our clicker game. So I call it Resume Roulette. So, well, I wanna start with the last one if you don't mind. What I wanted to do here, and I'm not sure this is gonna work, so maybe we'll just do it a different way. I wanted to give you guys in this room 6 seconds. I was actually gonna give you 7 to look at the resume up on the screen and determine if you would look at it further, right? Kind of put yourself in that HR seat. So you all are busy human resources professionals. You've got stacks of paper on your desk and you're reviewing this resume. It's gonna ask for a sign-in. I can sign in. Wanna hold that for me? I had 2 people tested it, it worked good. Now y'all know my email address. Please work. Cool.
Carrie,
It
make
could.
it bigger.
Hey, you make it bigger. See that, Brandon? So, I think we've already actually looked at this 6 seconds, but here's what we're looking at, right? If we scroll down a little bit, I'll scroll down and help you kind of take a peek at it. And then I want it gone. Would you spend more time looking at that resume? Me neither. It's interesting how consistent it always is, and it even is with the human resources folks, how many they would agree to further look at and how many they wouldn't. Part of the problem with that resume, that's a resume that was done on a template, folks, right? So it all looks the same, it didn't, the formatting wasn't quite right. They just did a template and printed it and sent it in. I don't even know what job they're looking for until I get down to it, right? I mean, I could maybe extrapolate and say, well, I saw something about veterans counseling, maybe they want to do that, but I don't know for sure. So that's one thing that we want to get away from. Yeah, let's go to Dale. Dale's resume, number 2. Am I gonna have to sign in again? Yeah, sweet, that saves some time. Honestly, I had 2 people test this and I hadn't contemplated that I needed an extra sign-in on this, so. We are gonna take a look at another resume and you guys are gonna tell me what you think about this one.
But these are resumes, they're CVs.
That's correct. I'll address that in a minute because let's do our 6 seconds. So here we've got Dale. That's what he's sent in to us. That's probably more than 6 seconds right there too. What do you think about that resume? A little better, right? I can tell he didn't do a template, so that's nice. I got a little bit more info out of that right off top. I'm still not sure what he's applying for, right? I'm still not sure. But it's better. We're moving in the right direction. I'll address your CV thing when I'm done. Is that fair? What's that? Yes. Okay. One more resume we're going to take a look at is Michael's resume. So this is what Michael sent in to us. It's a little bit longer, right? Perfect. So that's what he sent in. And that's, go back to the beginning. Yes, will do. Remember, you only have 6 seconds. Yeah. You only have 6 seconds. Okay, we gave you that's like double 6 seconds. Okay, because it's so pretty. Okay, I'm taking it away. Even better, right? He's got the core competencies right up front. I can see what his experience is. Hopefully he might have even taken the time to look at the job announcement and bullet some of those things. So me as a higher panel member can see that he's done some of those things. Still not sure right away what job he's looking for, but much, much better, right? Now we're going in the right direction. We were supposed to get to vote, but we didn't. But you can kind of see the moving on up, right? Some do's and don'ts in there. I really like in your resume, and again, one rule of resumes, you have to like it. So again, if I say, oh, I think you should try this, if you're like, ooh, no, that doesn't fit me, that's not me on paper, then don't do it. But what I really like to see is, oh, we've got two things. Yeah, sure. So I want to see your name at the top. I want to know what you are. I don't need a big paragraph about, oh, my philosophy of life. I need to know what you are. I need to know who you are and why you're applying here. So here we've got Cami Berger, and I see right away she's a counselor. That doesn't have to be counselor. That could say librarian, history professor, English enthusiast, whatever fits you. And now I've got a skills summary, right? I'm trying to make it easy for that panel to see that you have the things that are on the job announcement. Again, you don't have to do it that way. Next thing we've got here is education, and you don't have to put education part first. I mean, a rule of thumb is if you're very new out of school, you might want to list your education first. If you have more experience, you might want to list your experience first. Of course, we need both, right? But this also has some white space. It's kind of, it doesn't turn me off as I look at it. I'm not wanting to cry like the formatted one. And now we see we've got some basic bullets and rather short language. I might even shorten this one up myself. But I did want to use some resumes that have come in. They're all adapted, and the names have been changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. And so that's a little bit more that if I got this resume as a higher panel member, it's easy for me to spend a short amount. Oh, I like that. That looks good. Let me look at it for more time, and I see you're hitting the marks with this resume. Again, it's definitely what you're comfortable with. Yes, thank you. I owe you a candy bar. Yep. So that's my last slide, and that's what I wanted to leave you with, is how you make that resume stand out. Like I said, we could talk all day about resumes. But I would have you consider looking at your resume, making changes if needed, so that higher panel who's looking at your resume can go, oh yeah, this person's a match. I can picture them teaching history here. I see that I can tell they've taught diverse students. I can tell they're into it. I can tell they'll not be the person who locks their door at 8 o'clock. They're gonna let the people in. They're gonna stay and talk to students after. That's what I want your resume to reflect when people see it here. In terms of the vitae, you can turn in a vitae here. You need to turn in a vitae at university. If you do that, most of the vitaes I've seen, the bulk of the resume vitae is on presentations and publications, right? When you look at our job announcements, you don't see anything that asks what your publications are. They just don't. But it's very appropriate to include it. I would maybe consider having that be a bullet over 25 publications in history, or whatever it is. And if you really feel that it's important you include it, please leave it more towards the back, and please make sure that first page that I and my higher panel peers are gonna see, that first moment, highlights what we're asking for on the job announcement. Does that make sense? Yeah. Do we have time for questions, Janelle? We don't have time for questions, but I'm gonna be sitting at the Academic Senate table a little bit later, so come on out and I'd be happy to talk to you there.
We have a Q&A at the end, so hold on for a second.
Yeah, so